Hey guys, it's Vandiazzo, back on Cardfight Vanguard deck profiles. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and sorry, this time we're covering another deck for DZ Set 8, with it being Dragon Empire Grhyaundra. So I have not touched Grhyaundra since DZ Set 2 because honestly I didn't like the deck back then, and then they got support, I think either DZ Set 4 or DZ Set 5, and I didn't care for it then either. And then in DZ Set 8, they got two more good cards, and I was like, okay, screw it, let's build a deck around it, especially after the news of Sybil reveal, and yeah, I actually do like this deck now, so let's see what we got here, because honestly, this deck is kind of more fun to play than I thought it was. First today we have our energy generator. It's our ride deck crest. Do you mind wearing ride deck crest in your ride deck? Auto ride, when you would ride, put this card into your crest zone, and if you win second, you get to energy charge 3. Continuous, you have to 10 energy, auto begin your ride phase, energy charge 3, and after once per turn, energy plus 7, draw a card. All pretty solid because you get a free 3 energy every turn. If you win second, you get an extra 3 on top of that. And if your energy is ever 7 or more, you can blast it all away to draw a card. All pretty solid because the deck doesn't really have any energy users, or the ones that it does have end up using the energy to draw anyways. So no matter what you use your energy on, you'll basically be drawing with it. So it's a nice card to have as a ride deck crest. Moving on to our starter, we have Grhyaundra. Grhyaundra boost 5k shield, 6k base, auto 1 per second draw card, standard starter, nothing but a free draw if you go second. You do have to make this starter Grhyaundra because the rest of the ride line, this is one of the few decks where the ride line does actually have to stay canonical. So one of Grhyaundra in the ride deck, it's very solid for the free draw, but it's also mandatory to proc off all skills. On to our triggers, we run our over trigger and Dragon Deity King of Resurgence Drag Veda. Grhyaundra boost 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger, you might over trigger in your deck. Revealed as a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose a means, give a plus 1 million for the turn. If revealed during dread check, activate its a dish fight, which you can choose your vanguards and stand it. All around pretty solid because not only when you drive check this, do you get a million in a draw, but your vanguard also gets to stand. In a deck where the vanguard already standing gives the front row plus 20, even if that only happens once, still being able to have 2 vanguard attacks where its base power is already 33k without other triggers is amazing. It's nice for offensive pressure, though if you want to run Vana for more consistent multi-attacking, I could see why, or as Foyer for cycling, or even the dark over trigger for healing and calling, or even the yellow over trigger for just board nuking your opponent. I could see reasons why for all of those, but for running Drag Veda because I like running the nation over triggers, and standing the vanguard twice is just really fun. Next up we have our normal triggers, starting off with 3 copies of Flare Veil Dragon. Grhyaundra boost 5k shield, 4k base, continues guard circle. If your opponent's vanguards are grade 3 or greater, it gets 5000 shield, so it's a 10k shield once your opponent hits grade 3, and it's a draw trigger, so it can help increase the hand when it's draft check or damage check, so you can draw some of your important pieces much more quickly, which is very nice, especially when there's one specific card in this deck you want to see at all times to make sure you can aggro your opponent down, and then that one card doesn't show up to either your 3rd grade 3 turn or the turn you're going to lose for some reason, but I digress. 3 of Flare Veil. Then we have a total of 8 crit, 4 of them being Rogue Beast and Ghostry. Grhyaundra boost 50k shield, 5k base. You make this any crit you want. I have this as the crit because when Grhyaundra first came out, I copied the deck from Triumph Dragon, so I just stole the triggers from Triumph Dragon, so there you go. And then we have 4 more crits and 4 copies of Burning Flow Dragon. Grhyaundra boost 50k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard. At the end of the battle that it boosted, shove it to soul, choose a units and give 2k for the turn, and that 2k pretty much doesn't matter unless you're in one very specific situation. You don't really have to worry too much about soul in this deck, so if you want to make this of another crit, you're more than welcome to. I just used to make it Burning Flow because, again, I copied it straight from Triumph Dragon, I didn't really give it a second thought. So, total of 8 crit for offensive pressure, 3 draw for additional hand cards because you don't need fronts because the deck already gets really good front row numbers, and 4 heal triggers and Refreshing Wind Dragon Dino Breeze. Grhyaundra boost 50k shield, 5k base. It's a standard heal, nothing about it. You can make this any heal you want. I was supposed to make a Dino Breeze because I already had the critical trigger for Sunu Ghostry, so I might as well just make a Dino Breeze to match up the theming there. Moving on to our grade 1s, we have 3 copies of Ferocious Attack Dragon Aloe Launcher. Grade 1 boost 5k shield, 8k base, continues rearguard circle. During your turn, if you have a unit with Android on its card name, it gets 5000 power. So it's a 13k base if either your vanguard or your rearguard has the unit with Android on the card name, so it could be your grade 3 or your grade 2, or even if you're grade 0, if you found a way to get this out while you're on grade 0. Or if you have a unit with Grhyaundra in its card name, this unit gets 5k shield while it's on guard circle. So pretty solid, so if it's the vanguard's either the grade 1 or the grade 3, or you have either or on the board, it has 10k shield. Either way though, very solid grade 1 that it can proc regardless of what grade your vanguard is at, and technically speaking, it doesn't require the vanguard to be a specific name either, so if you ever just randomly built a deck with Andra and the grade 1 in it without needing the Grhyaundra grade 3, well, there you go, it still get benefits out of it. So 13k base and 10k shield depending on what's on your board, pretty good grade 1 to have for early game pressure, so it's a solid 3 for me. Bringing that on to 4 copies of the grade 1 who I swear has it out for me because I built this, the only reason I'm doing this deck profile is because I really wanted to play this grade 1, and it's the only reason I ended up playing Grhyaundra after 6 sets of not touching it with a 10-foot pole, and then she never shows up when I want her to. She always shows up at least a turn late, but that is Stealth Rogue of Dancing Music Micah. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear guard, and then about your grade 3 or greater Vanguard of Grhyaundra's card name attacked. By counterblasting one, draw a card, and then if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, and your unit was not placed on rear guard from the soul this battle phase, retire 2 rear guards, then Column Master, jump to 1 Unison Grhyaundra and Dragwitter of Flame Blade Gry from your soul, call them both to rear guard circle and same column as each other. They both get 5,000 power, and at the end of the turn, you put them both into your soul. So for 1 CB, you get a draw just by your Vanguard attacking. Solid. But on top of that, if your opponent is at grade 3 and and this ability basically has not been procced this turn, call the 2 cards that are used to restand the Vanguard from the soul, get another column attack, basically give them both 10k, and then you get them back at the end of the turn so your opponent can't nuke them or prevent you from doing the same play next turn. Very solid grade 1 to have. Gets you multi-attack for only 1 CB, gets you a free hand card because why not, and gives you plus 10k to the unit you're multi-attacking with, all for just your opponent simply being a grade 3 and your Vanguard attacking it. Not a bad grade 1 at all to have in the deck. This is the reason why I wanted to play the deck after 6 sets, and of course this grade 1 never wants to show up when I have everything in place for her, but take that as you will. She's a great grade 1 to have and an easy 4 of. Next up, we have 4 copies of our PG and Guardian Monk of the Raging Flames Manju. Grade 1 boost 0 so 6k base, continuous Sentinel, 4 Sentinels in deck and all is put on guard circle. Choose one units, it cannot be hit in the battle. If your hands 2 more cards in, choose a card from your hand and discard it. Standard PG, nothing to special about it. Basically, that means if this is only 1 of cards in your hand plus on guard circle, you don't have to discard. Is great, because that means you can be super aggressive in the early game. Basically, spam the ever-living hell out of every single card you can, and then when your opponent does eventually counterattack you, throw down Manju, give them the middle finger, you'll be good to go. All around, very solid PG to have. You can make this Twin Buckler Dragon or Spark Projector Dragon because both of them have the same skill as Manju. I chose to make the PG Manju, however, because it came out close to the time of Grhyaundra's original release. On to our next grade 1 and our last grade 1 of the deck. One of the few times we do this. One of in the ride deck and 3 copies in the main deck of Dragwitter of Flameblade, Gry. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. One of my favorite arts ever just because, like, I love dual swords, and as you can see, he has a dual sword. I love his cape and, like, just how happy he looks, and, like, just his outfit looks so cool. I really hope Sobolt's line is, like, the opposite, where, like, in this case, we can see that the main grade 3 is, like, a human, but I hope that Sobolt's, like, grade 2 and grade 0 are humans instead of like the grade 1 and grade 3. I hope that's the case because I'm really looking forward to that deck. But anyways, Gry continues Vanguard Circle. If your soul has Child Grhyaundra, when you would ride to Unison Grhyaundra from the ride deck, you can ride without discarding a card from your hand. So pretty much that's the exact same skill that the grade 2 also has. So your grade 1 and your grade 2 both ride for free, which is good. It's a little bit of a boring skill, but with a deck that requires very specific pieces on board, it's fine. I don't mind it too much, though it does interfere with a very specific card we'll go over in a minute. And then the second skill is Auto Rear Guard at the beginning of your battle phase. If you have a grade 3 guard of Vanguard of Gry in the card name, by resting this unit, choose every rear guard with Andrew on his card name, and until end of turn, that unit can attack from back row and it gets 10,000 power. So it pretty much gives a unit a freebie to attack into whatever it wants, and that Andrew will probably end up getting 5k anyways. But the best part is it allows it to be any Andrew. Very solid grade 1 to have. It allows you to ride to your grade 2 for free, and it allows your grade 2 / whatever Andrew units in your back row to attack from the back row for free for 10,000 power at the only cost of it being a rest itself, which is honestly fair enough because it'll be used as restand fodder anyways. So 4 of Dragwitter of the Flame Blade Gry, 1 of in the red deck and 3 of in the main deck for a very solid grade 1. Next up, we have our grade 2s, starting off with 3 copies of Dragwitter Fallheart. Grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base, auto input on guard circle from the hand or discard it from your hand or ride it from the ride deck. You'll only do that once in this deck because the grade 1 riding to the grade 2 is free and the grade 2 riding to the grade 3 is free, so you'll only be able to use it riding from the grade 0 to the grade 1. But if you did either of those, counter boss 1 or energy boss 3 to draw a card. So cool, you can pay 1 of 2 costs, more likely than not your energy, because again, the only other card that costs energy in this deck is this unit, and both of them use on the draw anyway, so it's fine. You'll end up getting a draw card, so you'll be able to replace Fallheart, and if you use it defensively, well, maybe it'll help you draw into a really good guarding card that can help keep you alive. And the second skill is auto when placed on rear guard circle during the turn you Persona Road. By counter bossing 1 or energy boss 3, choose a grade 1 without Sentinel from your drop zone, call to back row rear guard circle. So you either get to call Gry, who will give your units back row attack, you'll either get to call Micah, who will be able to get you multi-attack, or you'll call this Auto Launcher, who at worst case scenario is a 13k. So yeah, honestly, pretty good targets from Fallheart. It allows you to get either multi-attack, power, or power for another unit on board, and allows you to be super defensive with this draw skill. Not a bad grade 2 to have in the deck at all, and again, because the only other card in the deck that eats up energy ends up drawing with its skill anyways, it's a nice combo card for that as well, with the only real downside being you rarely use his skill when discarded from my deck, because you rarely actually discard from my deck in this deck, which is why we have it as a 3 of here. Our next card is 4 copies of our grade 2 Melt Knuckle Golem. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto place on rearguard circle. If your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater with Grhyaundra in the card name, energy blast 3, draw a card. So cool, simple energy blast 3, draw. It's pretty much the one space where Fall Heart's Go doesn't proc. And then auto rearguard when your unit with Grhyaundra or Android in his card name attacks on anything, whether it's a Vanguard or a rearguard. If your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, this thing is 5,000 power for the turn. So cool. Your Vanguard swings once, the back row center most likely swings once, which is an Andra, by the way, thanks to the ability of Grhyaundra over here. And then maybe you get an extra Grhyaundra/Andra to attack thanks to Mikey over here. That means this thing's going to proc a total of 3 times, so swinging for 25 overall, with probably at least 10k from Grhyaundra, the Vanguard's ability going off, so 35k swing without triggers or any other buffs, and more likely than not, there's at least one of the two going on. Either way, Melt Golem, very solid grade 2 to have. It gets you a draw just by simply spending 3 energy when it's placed, regardless of what grade the opponent's Vanguard's at, and it gets numbers literally every single time something else attacks. So 4 Melt Knuckle, really good grade 2 to have, adds a lot for the offensive pressure in the deck, just good card. Next up, we have 4 copies of Soil Edge Dragon. This is where you want to kind of spend all your excess CB at. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto front row rear guard circle once per turn. When your grade 3 or greater Vanguard or Grhyaundra's card name stands by your card abilities, whether it's by its own effect or Zell over trigger over here, this unit gets 5,000 power for the turn. However, you can counterblast 1 and it'll get 10k instead of 5k, and you can choose an opponent's rear guard to kill it. So bare minimum, just by standing the Vanguard, he'll get an extra 5k. And the Vanguard, because it probably stood by its own ability, will give it an extra 10k. So this at the bare minimum will be a 25k base, regardless of what grade the opponent's Vanguard's at. But if you want to spend a CB, you'll get an extra 5k on top of it, and then you'll kill an opponent's rear guard, and maybe get rid of the Interceptor, make it a little bit harder for them to come back on the next turn, because maybe you could have back row booster. All around, Soil Edge is a very great grade 2. It gets numbers for free regardless, as long as your Vanguard stands by some ability, but if you want to spend an extra cost, you'll get more power out of it, which could make the difference in guarding, and it will kill off your opponent's rear guard at the same time. Very solid grade 2 to have in the deck, good for all around defensive pressure, easy 4 of. And then as for our last grade 2 in the deck, it's a 1 of in the Rye deck and 3 of in the main deck of Unison Dragon Andra. Grade 2 intercept 5k shield, 10k base, contains Vanguard Circle. If your soul has a drag order of Flameblade Grhyaundra, when you would ride Drag Connector Grhyaundra from the Rye deck, you can ride without discarding a card from hand. So like I mentioned earlier, it has the same skill as the grade 1, where you can just ride this for free. Second skill contains Rearguard Circle. During your turn, if you have a Vanguard Grhyaundra in the card, and this unit gets 5,000 power. So cool. It's a 15k base when your Vanguard is a Grhyaundra, and then you combo that off with the grade 1 Grhyaundra, who give an extra 10k, so a total of 25k base. All around, not a bad grade 2 to have in the deck. You can afford not to run this in the main deck, and same for this grade 1, because the version of this that I have in tabletop when it was originally released says that you cannot call from Soul at all during that turn for her ability to proc off. How true is that statement? I don't know, because this was pulled from the fandom, but if that ability is right, then you can replace 3 of the main deck copies of this and 3 of the main deck copies of this, whatever units you want, but I'm choosing to keep them in there just in case the fandom skill is wrong, because I'm not so sure which one is right at this point. Either way, being able to make itself a 15k base is nice, and ride to a grade 3 for free is fine, even if it heights interacts with Fallheart, but take that as you will. So 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. As for our grade 3s, we have 3 copies of an incredibly good order, which I don't think Bushy thought of when they printed this, because every single Dragon Empire deck has access to it thanks to the existence of Drag Veda alone, but a lot of good ones can use it just easily, such as Overlord, the OG, yes, this deck, but also something that came out one set before Grhyaundra, Varga, but whatever. Drag Resonance is a grade 3 normal order that is no cost restricted, doesn't care what the Vanguard is, just straight up go into its ability the second you play it, choose under your Vanguards, and it gets auto Vanguard once per turn. When this unit stands by any means, all your front row units get 10,000 power for the turn until end of turn. So you get a Persona ride for free just by standing the Vanguard. This basically gives you, and if you wanted to, you could run the Regalia's piece, Gratia's Gallade, which gives you a Persona ride, and run this in tandem with it, because that pretty much guarantees you will always have an extra set of Persona rights. Very solid order. Gets 10k to the front row just by standing the Vanguard, who gives the front row already 10k by standing via his own ability. So total plus 20k. This is a good order. It's a 3 of. Like, if you don't hit into your hand, it's fine, but if you do hit into your hand, your opponent is going to have a very fun time trying to block it, because, yeah, remember, these guys gain numbers every time something attacks, so, yeah, keep track of that. As for our last card in the deck, it's a 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck, of Drag Connector Grhyaundra. Oh, here we go. Grade 3, turn that Persona right, 13k base, auto Vanguard. At the beginning of your main phase, by resting this unit, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card with Grhyaundra's card name, and up to 1 grade 2 or less card with Androna's card name, each from your soul, call to rearguard circle, and then this unit gets auto Vanguard once per turn. At the end of the battle, your rearguard with Androna's card name attacked into anything. By putting that unit that attacked in a rearguard of Grhyaundra's card name into your soul, stand this unit, and all your promo gets 10,000 power for the turn until end of the turn. All I'm gonna say is this: if Bushi ever releases like the Grhyaundra version of the Beast Deity from the end of V that could stand a Beast Deity during the main phase, if they ever gave that ability to Grhyaundra, even if it lost a drive, this deck would be so busted. But whatever, because then it would give the Vanguard 3 attacks, even if all of them only had 1 drive, possibly. But still, being able to give 10k to front row just by standing is great. The best part is that it allows you to call any Gry and any Andra that's grade 2 or less. So if they ever give us more Gry and Andra units, we can call them from there. You can call the grade 0 if you want to, but most of the time you won't. Either way though, being able to superior call 2 cards from your soul is great, and not to mention the fact that they'll combo off each other, because this will be a 15k base, because you're calling the grade 2. Then this will give an extra 10k, and then you send them both to soul, stand the Vanguard, get more numbers, combo with Drag Resonance, your front row gets plus 20. This will be a 33k swing on its first swing. This will be if you pull off the combo right and you get the full 3 attacks thanks to Mikey over here. It'll be a 25, 45k swing without triggers or boosters. Yeah, this deck hits for numbers and it does it really well thanks to this 1 grade 3, even if he only has 1 skill, because that 1 skill is really great. So 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck of Grhyaundra. Basically really good for getting numbers and takes a new spin on the restand aspect of Dragon Empire decks. And without further ado, that's it for this one. Hope all of you guys enjoyed. Honestly, this deck is actually more fun to play than I thought it was, because again, I didn't want to touch this deck for a long time, but being able to mark opponents' rear guards, get really good numbers and all-around consistency, not to mention the fact have multi-attack on top of the already inherent multi-attack, and just get 20k by standing for free with no CB attached to that whatsoever, makes this deck really fun to play. So if you are interested in Grhyaundra at all, I definitely recommend you check it out, because oh, does it do good. So without further ado, I'm going to end this one here. Hope all of you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us for Twitch. I'll see you all in the next one. Dark Stand Up, your Vanguards.